Hello students, my name is Francis Tamakilo, a lecturer in Sibande College, Pedacop campus. I'm lecturing in Primary Agriculture Department. I'm here to present my subject, farm planning and mechanization. But the topic that we are going to look at today is calibration. Students, you do remember that we did some work under tractors, and today is opportunity for us to know how to calibrate a tractor when you are going to spray some chemicals on your farm. Today's lesson will be based on the following objectives. 1, we shall be looking at how students should understand the concept of calibration. Number 2, at the end of the lesson, students should be able to explain how to perform static calibration of farm implements. Basically, we'll be looking at boom sprayer. Number 3, we shall be looking at appreciation of the importance of calibration, so that by the end of the lesson, students will appreciate the importance of calibration. And then by the end of the lesson, should they be able to identify some important conditions the boom sprayer must have for efficient spraying to be carried out. Students, on the screen, you could see that I've displayed a boom sprayer for you to see. This is a boom sprayer. The next one is fertilizer spreader. The next one is chopper. So what it means is that we can use these 3 implements to spray whatever substance you have on your field or on the farm. What then is calibration? Calibration is a means of a farmer determining the right volume or quantity of fertilizers, weedicides or herbicides, pesticides, fungicides, or seeds that is required to be applied per unit hectare of land in relation to farming. Let us now look at some importance of calibration. Why must I calibrate my implement before I go to the farm and spray either fertilizer or any chemical on the field? Students, one of the importance of calibration is that it helps to reduce wastage of fertilizers and chemicals or seeds on the field. Hence, the farmer is using the right quantity. The next important thing is that it helps to reduce environmental pollution. So then this is because if you do over application, the excess chemicals from the fertilizer on the field may be washed into water bodies. That is an example of environmental pollution. And once you allow extra chemicals from the field to go into the water bodies, it may even kill aquatic organisms. Another importance is that it prevents damaging or killing of crops and animals. This is because if you use more chemicals or fertilizers that the crop needs, or more in excess, it still is going to kill these crops. So we need to hence have the right quantity to be applied on the crops. It also enhances maximum growth of crop. You remember in soil science that every crop needs a certain quantity of chemicals that you apply to them. For example, if you are dealing with fertilizer application, if the fertilizer is more than the optimum than the crop needs, the crop dies. Or if you apply less than the optimum level, hence the crop will also die. So we need to calibrate to get the right quantity that the crop needs. In proper calibration, it also improves soil structure. It enhances evenly spread of fertilizers on the field. It also helps to determine the exact quantity of fertilizer or chemical or seed to buy. Once you are able to do your calibration, you should know the quantity of bag of fertilizer to buy, the quantity of seed to buy from the market, so that you don't go back and forth. So you see that it is very important to do calibration. It also helps in good budgeting. Just to mention a few, we have so many other advantages or importance of calibration. Now, dear students, let's look at forms in which these chemicals can be when you are spraying it on the field. Remember that I said we are concentrating on boom sprayer as our equipment for applying fertilizer on the field. The chemicals could be in the form of a solution. And we know solution is you dissolving the active ingredient, which will be your fertilizer, in standard volume of water, such that the fertilizer is totally dissolved in the water. That will be a solution for you. Then you can use it to spray on the farm. Sometimes the spraying material could also be in the form of suspension. This simply means that your active ingredient, which is your fertilizer, is suspended in the water molecules. So you can still see the fertilizer in the water molecules. And this can also be used to spray on your crops. The third form in which it can be is called emulsion. And emulsion is two liquids that are not miscible. Hence, just like example, like you have oil and water. You see that oil will be suspended on water surface. This can also be a form in which your fertilizer or your chemicals can be applied on the field. Two important information that we must take notice of when we are doing application of any form of chemicals. or fertilizer on the field is 1. You must always make sure that you are applying the correct concentration of that solution that you are applying on the field. And the concentration will be defined as the amount of the active ingredients dissolved in water. If the concentration is too high, it kills the crops. If the concentration is also too low, it will not have a positive effect on the crop. Hence, your productivity or your yield will be very low. The second information about the spraying material that you are using on the field that we must pay attention to will be the dosage or the dose of that spraying material. The dosage simply means the volume of the solution that you are applying on the field or on the crop. If you don't apply the right dosage, you end up getting a low yield or a lesser yield. Therefore, students, let's make sure that we pay attention to these two important aspects. Now, I am going to take you through calibration procedure for spraying machines. What does this mean? It means that if I am going to my field, my land, to apply fertilizer on the field, for instance, I must know what quantity of fertilizer that will be needed to be applied on the field. Hence, there is few procedures that we need to know for us to arrive at the correct quantity needed or the correct volume that is needed to be applied on the field. For instance, if you have a land which is of a size of 10,000 meters square, or you say 1 hectare, what quantity of fertilizer is needed? So you need to follow a certain procedure. 1, you need to measure 100-meter distance on the field. From any point, you have your point A to B, which is 100 meters apart. 2, you need to select a constant gear number of your tractor. Students, you are going to drive your tractor on the field to cover 100 meters. Whilst you are driving, make sure you have selected a gear number. That gear number that you've selected is what you are going to use throughout the spraying of your fertilizer on the whole field. Number 3, you have to drive the tractor over this 100 meters distance and record your average time. That means if you drive from point A to B at 100 meters, we need to record the time that the tractor covered that distance. So let's assume that our tractor covered 100 meters at 60 seconds. So we record that time down. 4, we must record the engine revolution, the speed at which the tractor is traveling over the 100 meters. All this information are very important because we need them to be used in calibration processes. All right, students, now I'm going to take you through another procedure. Before we go through the other procedure, so let's say this is the tractor as you've seen on the screen. There's somebody sitting on the tractor, just that it's not moving for now. But assumption is that it's going to cover a distance of 100 meters. All right, so you have to know the area between point A, B, C, and D. So the area for point A, B, C, and D will be length times breadth, as displayed on the screen. And this one gives us area over the 100 meters will be length times breadth, or the width of the boom sprayer. And that will give us 500 meter square. If you were to compute the figures for that area. How do you get the 5 meters? The 5 meters will be the length of your boom sprayer. And then the length of the boom sprayer would have been indicated from here. You see where the spray coming out from the boom sprayer. The boom is the length here. So this length will cover the distance between B and A and B as you are driving the tractor. So when you measure the length, let's assume that the length of the boom sprayer is 5 meters. So in computation, you have the area for that small area to be 100 meters times 5 meters, which gives you 500 meter square. Now, after that, we need to know the volume of solution that will be needed to apply on that small area, which is which will be shown at between point A, B, C, and D. So what you do is you park your tractor at a standstill and now start it and put it at gear number 2, the gear at which we're driving from point B to C. And also number 2, while the tractor is still at standstill, you need to put it at the speed at which you were driving it at. And then eventually, you start spraying the tractor. You start spraying the machine, and then the water will be coming out of the boom for 6 seconds. Because for 60 seconds, remember we were driving between point B and C for 60 seconds. So you collect the volume at the boom levels and measure that volume. Let's say if the volume were to be 200 liters. So we say that 200 liters of solution will be needed to spray between point A, B, C, and D. Then by ratio and proportion, we now determine the total volume of the fertilizer solution that we need to pour into the boom sprayer to cover the whole 10,000 meters square, as shown on the screen, the whole area. So what do we do? As you see on the screen, you do have determining the volume output. By ratio and proportion, you see if 200 liters sprayed the 500 square meter, how many liters would spray the 10,000 meters square? So by calculation, you have 200 liters times 10,000 square meter, your 200 liters times 10,000 square meter divided by 500 meters square, it will tell you the total volume of liquid that you need. So if I have 200 times 10,000 divided by 500, it gives me 4,000 liters. So it means that we shall need 4,000 liters to spray the whole field. Anyway, factors to consider during calibration and spraying. One, you must make sure the concentration of the solution is the exact one that you need, which will be indicated on the back of the fertilizer. The dosage must also be considered. You consider the speed of the tractor, the gear number of the tractor, engine revolution of the tractor. You also consider spray pressure of the tractor, evenness of the soil surface, wind condition and strength, or wind condition or the strength of the wind, because if the wind is too strong, it spray off the chemicals from the crop. It doesn't allow the chemicals to go directly to the crops. You also consider condition of nozzles. The nozzles on the boom sprayer must be in perfect condition, and then the filters in the nozzles must also be in good condition. Otherwise, it will affect the volume output from the nozzle whilst you are spraying on the field. Learners, we can also look at spraying of weeds. This is what we must consider. The following must be considered for efficient spraying. 1, use nozzles with the same length, correct spacing of nozzles for even spraying of the fertilizer on the field. Land surface must be smooth as possible. Regularly check and change damaged filters in the nozzles. Spray under still or air conditions. Vary pumping pressure for correct flow rate. Stir fluid in the tank for uniform mixture by using a mechanical agitator paddles. It's a device inside the tank which continuously makes the solution for you. Or you can also allow the solution to be mixed by itself by using the bypass line. You must also know how to spray fruit crops and consider some factors that are needed. 1, the volume of spray chosen must depend on the following: forage density, the density of the leaf of the crops. If you are dealing with fruit, the higher the density, if the crop has, or if the fruit crop has more leaves, you need to spray more fertilizer on it. 2, you must also consider the planting distance. If the planting distance is smaller in between crops, then it needs more chemical solution than the one with longer planting distance. You must also consider the spacing of fruit on the tree. If the tree has more fruit, that means the spacing will be smaller. Hence, that fruit will need more solutions. Then you increase the volume. You must also consider the season of spraying. In this sense, we mean the stage of the crop. If the crop is at flowering stage, this is where it needs more chemicals or more fertilizer, then you increase the volume. But if it is at harvesting stage, maturing stage, then it needs smaller volume to be applied. Farmers will get the above information from the manual or on the containers or bottle of the chemical. This is done to ensure effective and efficient spraying. Learners, I have few homework for you. on the lesson that we've just taken. 1, what is calibration? 2, explain why it is important for every farmer to know and understand the mechanism of calibration. 3, show how you assist a farmer in your community to fully understand how to do calibration of a boom sprayer. Thank you.